live on my Instagram, so we'll see if anyone follows through from there.
Perfect.
Instagram's live seems like such like a volatile thing where it's just like people come in and then they leave and it's just like this constant whatever.
Oh yeah, totally. Because the notifications will pop up and people just click on them and then stick around for a couple minutes or whatever
without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And I always get caught by the thing that everyone does on there to like try to hack engagement where it's like so-and-so mentioned you. And it's like, boom, but no, it's their live.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. What is up, everybody? What is up? What is up? What is up? We are just getting going here. If you guys are into open source AI video generation, then this is the conversation that you are going to want to be around for. Hey, Solus, what is up, buddy? For folks on Instagram that want to come and join the party here, give me 1 second. I'm going to get you guys the link to the Twitch channel. I'm going to pin that in the chat while I'm waiting for a couple people to pile on in. Cosmic, what is up?
What up?
Boom, boom, boom. We got my man flipping Sigmas today. So
that's right. Full name Trent Hunter. If I'm gonna dox myself.
Does anyone ever give you any crap about your name now that Sigma is like a Gen Z word?
Yeah. Actually, anyone who's like younger than me, or will be like not really understand. Was actually, I don't really think that anyone would understand it anyways, because it's like totally an obscure math reference and comfy, you know what I mean? Like,
bro, I still barely understand what a sigma is.
Yeah, totally. I just know I know that I hated math in high school, and I like somehow like I'm like having to deal with it a little bit, you know.
All right, give me 1 second. Let me make sure that we are live in all the places where we're supposed to be. And it looks like we are. We'll give everyone just a few more minutes while people come on into the chat. And what is up? What is up? What is up? Guys, if you are cycling in and out over on Instagram, the link to the Twitch so you can come join us in all the full screen glory is pinned to the Instagram chat, because we got a dope one today. Sigma not important enough for me to learn. Sai, what's up? Everybody. Cool. We'll give it like 2 more minutes. We're only 2 minutes past the hour. But yeah, man, this is I'm excited because I am very out of touch with as in touch as I am with what we're doing here. I'm very out of touch with what has been going on with the greater like open source model thing, because from where I'm sitting, just doing the type of projects that I do on my personal side, it's people are so used to seeing the quality now that you get out of things like Kling, that like that's why I had to ultimately make the choice to like move away from Animate Diff and the dancing food things, because I was like, there's probably an expiration date on this right now.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and like it was fun while it lasted. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I remember like, you know, back in the day when like I feel like I started with Warp Fusion. I'm pretty sure you did the same, or it was like maybe before that, but I remember when Animate Diff came out, I was like so excited about it.
It was like, oh, well, I remember that too. Do you remember what version of Warp Fusion you started on?
Oh man, you know, I should go back and look at that. I don't know the exact one, but it was after you, I think. It was like right around whenever Gertie had his like big breakout.
It might have been around the same time, because I think my first Warp version was like 12.6 or something like that. 1 second, let me get our Discord.
That's actually what brought me into open source, because I remember like going on the Discord, and I had some trouble, some issue with something. And this dude, Zero Cool, like took like 30 minutes out of his day to help me like figure out what was like I was doing wrong. And I was like, man, this is the most refreshing internet experience I've ever had in my entire life. Like most of the time and every other social aspect of the internet is like completely is ridiculously toxic, you know, but like people were actually helping each other out. It was really a breath of fresh air. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, I remember Zero Cool,
Yeah.
actually. I remember. Okay, cool, guys. We are going to get rolling. So, welcome to the fourth episode of the DayDream Creator Session, where we talk with some of the people doing the coolest stuff all around the generative AI niche and ecosystem, and we find out what they think about the segue of everything into live AI video. But first, it's more important to talk about what they are doing. And our guest today has done some very particularly cool stuff. So, Trent, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell the people who you are and what they do?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Trent Hunter, Flipping Sigmas on the socials. And like I said, I started off with getting into AI back in the Warp Fusion days, and then just kind of came up and I have ran a little in my real life, I ran a little like video production business, and I wanted to be able to like shoot something and then make it into an animation. That was kind of the goal. And then got got into Comfy UI, and then kind of just became addicted to it. And and then like really got addicted to style transfer stuff. And eventually that led me to go to work with Asteria, who reached out to me through Discord, because I didn't really have a lot of social media presence or anything like that, but I was very active in the Discords. And this dude hit me up, Ben, thank you so much. And and he was like, hey, do you want to fly out to LA? And I was like, I had talked to a few different people prior to that, and you know, there was a lot of people who were excited about everything, but no one that I had talked to that was like really serious about it. And then they flew me out there, and I stayed a week and then had a job the next week. So
And for people that don't know like what warp fusion is, I always try to explain it. How would you explain like what warp fusion was, and also like the process of using it compared to how we interact with all the AI stuff now?
yeah, it was basically just like a Google notebook, and you had no idea what you were going to get out of it, but you would fight to try to figure out some settings that would work, that would just spit out like images. And you were basically just diffusing like images one by one that would take a whole entire night just to, and then it would come out the next morning, and hopefully you'd have something good to show. Most of the time you wouldn't, but
It was a big fingers crossed constantly. But I remember, so like if you didn't ever interact with code or Python or anything before, Google Colab was a very scary thing.
oh, it was, yeah, it took, I mean, I wanted to do it so bad because it looked so awesome, but it was like, yeah, I had no idea what was going on. And that's why Comfy was such a breath of fresh air, is because you could actually see what was happening in each step of the process.
So how long now since you started then? Does that mean you've been doing AI like basically almost full time? Because I know you were, prior to working with Asteria, which we'll get into in a little bit. You were filming and editing too, right? So you and I
Yeah,
kind
we
of have the same
kind of the
background.
same background. Yeah, I was like, in fact, way deep into weddings, kind of kind of well, you know, weddings booked so far out in advance, so it's like it's one of those things that's kind of, and it's also the money's pretty good, so it was kind of like easy to get. to get
Stuck.
to
Did he
get
get
stuck
stuck?
into that. So I kind of got into AI to break the monotony of that and do something that I wanted to do, and then it just kind of took over. Like I just kind of fell in love with it. I really fell in love with the community too. That was one of the biggest things about it, was just uh, everyone helping each other out, and it was just such a far cry from any other experience that I've had on the internet. You know.
That's something that I always said too, was for however, like, you know, you always hear everyone that comes from a more traditional quote unquote creative background say how soulless AI is and all that kind of stuff. Yet when I started working with the AI tools and everything in the same era as you, the community I found and I fell into was way more warm, welcoming, and willing to share whatever the magic sauce was than like any other creative community I'd been a part of prior to that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's a it's a cool group of people, and everyone's kind of like on the same creative page, you know, trying to, and like open to new technology and stuff like that, you know, which I think it's not going anywhere, so we might as well just ride it.
So, okay, let's fast forward to right now.
Yes.
You work for what might be one of the most legitimate, in this very small sea of legitimacy that there is, legitimate, I guess, would do you call it, a
Studio.
production studio?
Yeah.
A studio that is primarily working with AI tools to accomplish its goals, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We if you want, I can share my screen here.
Yeah. Boom. Let me bring you up here. Bam.
Yeah. So this one of the first things that we did was this.
Oh, here, wait. Let me play this one because I just want to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this all the way through so they can like really see it, and so they can get the audio from it, and then we'll go through and talk about your involvement and what you did. But guys, this is the most recent thing that you guys really put out publicly, right?
Well, we've done some other stuff, but it's like this was one of the first big projects that we had.
All right, so this is a project called Kuko. I'm gonna play this. This is a behind the scenes of how they made this, and it is phenomenal. But I'm gonna play this for you guys.
Visual world of the music artist Kuko. Like any animated project, it started with storyboards. We then moved on to 60 original illustrations drawn by the LA artist Paul Flores. We trained an AI LoRa model on those original illustrations, which gave us the ability to go from 60 assets to unlimited assets. We used a 3D generation tool to extrude the 2D assets into 3D assets and built out an entire 3D city in the style of Paul Flores. We called it Kuko Town. It allowed us to create more dynamic camera moves and return to the same environment in multiple scenes. The next step was the biggest breakthrough of the whole project. We called it generative ink and paint. We took very basic pencil sketch keyframe artwork and imbued them with Paul Flores' style, creating something that felt richer with more detail and color. Our team of 2D animators were excited about this step since it allowed them to control the style and motion of the animation without having to ink and color every single frame. Building these scenes involved multiple steps, going from 2D into 3D and then back into 2D again. We used the Paul Flores AI model to style transfer these scenes from a more video game looking aesthetic into a more hand-drawn aesthetic. It also unified all the different 2D animators to have the same look and feel. We style transferred everything from characters to backgrounds to entire scenes, ensuring that Paul Flores' style was consistent throughout. We used generative animation to bring the background characters to life and populate the streets of Kuko Town. We would take the first frame, the middle frame, and the last frame, and generate the motion that happens in between those frames. This was incredibly useful to create small transitions and stitching together different scenes. The project still involved a lot of traditional 2D animation elements. We could jump from the animatic stage into something that felt much more finalized, much quicker using this workflow. The thing with using these AI tools is it's not necessarily a linear approach. Everything is very iterative and dynamic with lots of trial and error. Sometimes in those failures, those things that you don't expect lead to happy accidents. What made this so special is we had a diverse team of animators and artists working together with a shared vision. The project combined illustrators, 2D animators, 3D animators, and a variety of AI techniques. These tools allowed them to extend their artist's hand much further. Rather than removing them from the process, it actually allowed them to do a lot more. So a small team can dream a lot bigger.
So sick. So sick and so well done.
It turned out I was super happy with the way it finally turned out. It was like a lot of people worked on it. I mean, Brad, Make It Rad, shout out. Enigmatic E was on it, AI Warper, Noah Miller. So a lot of the people from the community.
It's an all-star team.
Yeah. It was all like, at that point, it was all pretty much, like they were like, it was all pretty much done with Animate Diff and Hotshot XL. And they call it generative ink and paint because we got so sick of saying the term style transfer that we just had to come up with something else.
Generative ink and paint has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, totally.
So what was your direct like, where did you fit into that massive machine of people that clearly made that happen? Like what was your role in all that?
Yeah, so like Paul was kind of directing, like kind of telling us what he wanted, and then they had the cell animators who actually like came in and drew the original assets that we were working with. And then basically it was like me and Brad, we were basically just kind of style transferring each shot. So that was kind of the that was basically where I was.
What was the total timeline on that?
We worked on it for, I want to say, like 3 months.
Whew.
I think that maybe it was less, but maybe it was 2 months. But I think that we went a little bit over what we thought we were going to.
It definitely looked like it was worth it.
Oh, for sure. And it was like, there was like some of the shots like were more difficult than others, and although I love AI, but sometimes there was some manual stuff that we had to go in and do to fix some issues, which was cool because working with a team, I'd never worked with a team like that on any AI project. So
that when you put out a video like that, especially a workflow video like that, where you're looking like behind the scenes, I am always the most interested in going and reading the comments on something like that, because I already know that the usual people are going to be foaming at the mouth to come and tell you how it's devaluing the artist's work and all that kind of stuff. Did you guys get a lot of blowback for that? Or
I think that that's one of the things, is that it was one of the only things I've seen that hasn't gotten as much negative feedback, is because really to be like, with a lot of that stuff, we have a guy that used to work at Hanna-Barbera at our studio, and he was like, it was always kind of done in the same way, as that people would, they have the cell artists make the cells, and then they would send them off to to another country to get them finished anyway. So it's really more just kind of bringing it, like kind of keeping it all in house, but doing it in the same sort of way.
Gotcha. Okay, so skipping the outsourcing part of it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously, and just hopefully making it cheaper. That's the main goal of the company, I think, is just to make animations cheaper, so there can be more and higher quality, hopefully.
Calvin actually asked a really great question here. In the behind the scenes, Paul mentioned the animators were excited for the ink and fill. Was the overall sentiment from the animation team good? And was there any conflicting ideologies that had to kind of find the middle ground throughout the
I
project?
think that they were actually all pretty stoked with it. I didn't, at least in all of the meetings that we had, like everyone seemed to be pretty much on board, and I think that and it was cool. It was mostly like they kind of did all of the groundwork, and we were just kind of doing the, like more of the grunt work. So it I feel like they appreciated it, and I think
Gotcha.
that they were proud of it.
Gotcha. And then I guess the question from Roasted Keyboard, we can actually segment into some of your other stuff. I'm not going to say what's your favorite project that you worked on, but I'm more curious, like, because I know for as long as you and I have known each other personally, I know that one of your biggest strengths, usually our biggest strength can also be our biggest weakness sometimes, right? Is that
Yeah, totally.
you, my friend, are an eternal tweaker when it comes to
Yeah.
trying to figure out the most perfect optimized workflow and tweaking settings in Comfy UI.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know a bunch of other people like that's what keeps them from posting content, and they end up with this giant folder of incredible stuff that never sees the light of day.
Yeah, I think I realized just the other day that I hadn't posted like 4 or 5 of the things that I'd done in the past month. Like,
so of your personal things, I know you've been fortunate enough that every now and then you've had a video that you've done go viral. What is the output that either you shared or maybe you haven't shared that you're still like, when you look at it, you're like, damn, I can't believe that this came out like this?
yeah, well, so I mean, I'd have to say this. I did a claymation version of the Nirvana video, and I don't know if you want me to put that up here.
Yeah, I put your screen up there so everyone can see.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And it was more so like, because the video itself is actually like kind of let me see if I can. The video itself is just it's kind of dark in the room, and it was just a difficult one to style transfer, and I went through so many iterations. This is what I really like to show people is
They don't see it. The
what you
iterations,
don't
man.
see
They
is
don't
that
see it.
is that I literally went through every single setting and just changed it one, but I changed each setting by one at a time, and like every single clip of this represents like 15 minutes of my life that I went through, and it goes on for the whole 2 minutes of the entire video, just tweaking the settings. So, and shout out to Inner Reflections for coming up with the base workflow for that, because I really wouldn't have been able to, like, I just kind of wound up tweaking settings on his workflow and then adding a whole bunch of nodes.
Show the, oh man, it's so crazy seeing the little snippets of the test compared to, like, because the one you actually posted looks so good.
Yeah, and some of this stuff like comes out, it's just it's just madness. Yeah, Paul Trillo saw this. He was like, well, he's like, after a few of those, you might have thought it wouldn't have worked, but eventually it did. And I mean, that was actually kind of what grabbed the attention of the guys at Asteria whenever I first came on board. And I have some more of those as well.
Hey man, there is something to be said about the tenacity to figure out how to make one of these things look good.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
do you guys know what film this is from? Anyone?
Let me go to the more.
Yeah, it's
anybody get it?
Yeah, they did. It's so crazy, man.
Yeah, it's I mean, and that was all with Hotshot Animate Diff Inner Reflections workflow, modified and tweaked multiple times over.
Dude, these are so good.
And you know, and recently in the past couple of months, you know, Wan has kind of jumped on the scene.
Oh, Trent, I think your camera cut out.
Oh, did it? Let me switch to my other camera.
Bam. Sorry, guys. 1 second.
I actually had that on.
Took me a second to realize you were just a couple of rainbow bars.
Yeah, totally.
There we go.
Not quite as cool, but
yeah, no, so okay, what is it? So through my era of Animate Diff, I really enjoyed trying to take like the outline of people and like hyper transform them while still making it apparent that it was a person and the person was doing the thing that they were doing. But I wanted to try to push them as far as I could away from being a person. What is it about the really stable style transfers? Because I feel like you and I kind of are on two opposite ends of that spectrum of what you could do with this.
yeah, totally. I think it was just it was just my like obsessive compulsive disorder, probably. I just wanted to prove that I could like have some sort of consistency with the outputs. And I think I really just like the process of going through and tweaking it to try to make it more perfect.
So,
Not that, you know, because you'll never be able to get that absolute perfection, especially with Hotshot or Animate Diff, but it was definitely something to strive to.
So
and I have to say we did a hell of a good job, like getting there, like getting as far as we did.
100%. 100%. I actually have a video that I made with one of your style transfer workflows.
Oh yeah, I remember staying up like late that night and going over it.
Yeah, it went small time viral when I took one of my dancing woman ramen videos and I turned it into like a Ghibli style dancing woman ramen video.
Totally, yeah. You did that one where you went out to the with the Ray-Ban thing as well.
Oh yeah, wait. I think I can actually I can show that. Give me a second. I want to show that because I made this using Trent's workflow. So I'm going to show this and then we'll start talking about some live stuff. Just give me a second to pull it up here because I made this video using Trent's workflow that he had just explained to me like the night before. He stayed up really late with me in a private Discord server and explained it to me. And then I went out and filmed everything with my Ray-Ban Metas that I had just got. So I was really hyped on it. And Meta really liked it. But give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up on my Instagram right now. And I'll show it to you guys. And then we'll go into the live stuff because I got some fun stuff I want to talk about there. Okay, here. I found it. I'm going to put my screen up. Boom. All right. So, bam. Hey, Meta, open the portal.
Opening the portal now.
It's sick.
Hey, Meta, I think it's time to go home.
Home it is.
Hey, like
That's dope. It's funny because when I started off with this, I wanted to like film my own stuff and do it, but like I always just wound up. I was so like into tweaking the settings that I wound up just doing other people's videos. So it's cool to see that you. I mean, it's really a dope.
I couldn't So this took me like, I think altogether I spent one whole day on this video between like filming it and like running it and editing it and stuff. And this was actually a pretty good learning process for me to like combining all the different AI elements, because there's like stuff from closed source in here, because that's like Pikachu, and I animated Pikachu with Kling, I think.
Yeah.
But then I brought Pikachu into After Effects and the footage, and I composited him and did all the traditional After Effects compositing thing along with all the effects and whatnot. And then I took that and put that through your unsampling style transfer workflow with the Studio Ghibli Laura.
Yeah, it's super dope.
Um,
So with the other stuff, you were using LCM or just regular animate diff with like.
All of that stuff, like okay, so here is another one. Yeah, this video I made with your workflow got 200,000 views on Instagram.
Damn.
And like this was the original thing was made with my LCM animate diff workflow that people can still go download if you want to. And then I just ran that animation through your workflow, and it totally made it look like a really dope bowl of anime ramen.
I like it. I kind of wonder how it would look if we took some of these and ran them through WAN now, like just out of curiosity.
I agree. And then this I believe was also yours.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I obviously I've done that. I had like a week where I was really obsessed with the stuff that you showed me.
Yeah, dude. It's all that's awesome to see.
But I want to know, so kind of bringing this back to what kind of brings us all together and brings us here. You are one of the few people I know that are working in AI, not on the influencer or content creator side, but from an actual like professional in the adjacent film industry side.
Right.
Why do you think no one has really went after the live iteration of AI video the same way that they're attacking it with all the other video models like Kling and Runway and everything? Why do you think no one has really touched live, especially with the growing community for programs like Touch Designer and Resolume and people that are getting into a more real-time aspect of everything?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I actually have seen some interest in it, but it hasn't been anything that's been like that's been really top of mind. I mean, I think maybe it's a quality thing. I'm not 100% positive.
I would say that it's probably half a quality thing and half a GPU thing.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Because running everything live definitely takes significant computing power, right?
But I feel like we're on that trend though, because like if you think about just like how long it used to take to do warp fusion and then animate diff, and now like I've like recently had one where I like when I was first testing out WAN,
Wait, let me.
I was amazed. Let me find the. I was amazed that I spit out like 500 frames in the course of like. Here we go. Got it right here.
Calvin, I agree. It's just a matter of time with optimized GPU tech, for sure.
Yeah, this was like 500 frames in 11 minutes.
Which is crazy, knowing what it used to take us. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 11 minutes like that. It's something that used to take a whole night. So I think we're on that trajectory, and I'm pretty sure that it should be about it. Like I think it's all about the optimizations, you know, and if people can start optimizing, I think it's going to take off.
obviously I'm biased, but I would have to agree. But something super cool that I asked you to do prior to us coming in here. So everyone who is in here that has been messing with DayDream, and for those of you that have not been messing with DayDream, and maybe you came here because you saw my Instagram post or whatnot, there is a workflow that I've kind of been messing with and optimizing to take the DayDream outputs and the things we get from DayDream. So here, let me put my screen on. Boom, boom. So, okay, this is DayDream. Here I am in front of my webcam right now, and this is a DayDream, and the prompt is a Cyclops monster in the desert with one eye. And my inspiration for this guy right here, it's kind of fun seeing myself in like the two different cameras and then like seeing him do whatever I do. It's kind of funny. But the inspiration for this guy was I was thinking about the old like Sinbad and the Sinbad movies with the claymation monsters, the Ray Harryhausen style specifically monsters. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, totally.
Now, while obviously this isn't the Cyclops from that, I wanted to get something somewhat adjacent to it because I recorded this video. So this I literally just like stood here and did a bunch of crazy things in front of my webcam until I came away with a video. But you can see how it grabs onto me. There is clearly the outline of the monster from my webcam. Boom. So you can see it's following me. I took that output and I ran it through Sora, and that gave me this. Oh, wait. I have to, boom.
That is sick. See, yeah, I think that's like a great, that's like a pretty good way to think about it. Like you could use this live stuff like as a preliminary step.
So here's my thought process on this, right? Like a Rococo motion capture suit, and Calvin in the chat, I'm sure you know about this too, because you're Trent, do you know Calvin?
I think I do, yes.
Yeah, so Calvin is big into filmmaking and editing and stuff too, and he also works in like a very professional capacity in AI. But Rococo motion capture suits, these are the suits that you would buy and put on to record your movements, to then put your movements into 3D software to make a 3D model of yourself. A Rococo motion capture suit costs like $1,500, and then probably a monthly subscription to whatever their software is, plus whatever time you have to invest into the 3D software you're learning and all that jazz. This I was able to do in the span of 20 minutes with relatively no issues. However, the thing that I want to point out here is that this is what the output, this is what Sora would do to my video, my raw video on the bottom with the exact same prompt without the DayDream stylized video to put into it. So you're not able to just take a video of yourself, throw it in, give it the prompt for the Cyclops and whatnot, and get that back. Like there's no way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Calvin brought up a good point.
What did Calvin say?
Like the dream is to like turn the knobs all, like in real time, as opposed to having to wait 15 minutes per generation.
Oh man, if we were able to like have this set up and just like mess around with a couple buttons or like joysticks or triggers on like a PlayStation controller, the way that like Spence does when he sets up his laser show, right?
Yeah, dude.
How sick and how intuitive would live AI be, even if the quality wasn't like cinematic movie quality, but if you could stand there and literally control the settings of it with a gamepad.
Yeah, and then like you could have people like use it for VJing and stuff like that too.
Now, like seeing this, is there, from like the production standpoint, is there anything that comes to your mind of like where this would be useful or use cases for this in like the greater industry?
I mean, I feel like anything that's going to make things go faster and us be able to iterate faster is like, I mean, I think that's a huge benefit to just to workflows in general.
I agree, man. Cause it's like, so watching this is wild to me because I remember recording myself and then trying to put my footage through Warp Fusion.
Yeah.
To stylize
Yeah.
myself, and just thinking about how it was like 40% of the way to what I wanted it to be. And now it's like 90%.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty wild.
It's just no, go on.
Anything that will like help us like make stuff faster is I mean, that's where it's all heading, right?
Well, the thing that I asked you to do for me, there was this burger head video that I made last week where, right? If for no one that has seen this, so I made a daydream of me as this burger on a plate, and I then took the burger into Sora, and I was able to get this really cool looking 3D kind of like funny, funky burger on the plate that was following me perfectly. I asked Trent to run the burger through his WAN workflow, which is open source, which means that anyone could use it as long as you had enough, had the right type of computer. You don't have to pay anything for it.
Yeah, and this is a 1.3B, so it's almost anyone could run it. And I'm using Inner Reflections Ghibli Laura, which is fantastic, by the way.
That is still like it's a little unhinged, but I like it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and like this was also the first time I ran it. I haven't even tweaked any settings on this one either, too. So, I mean, like we could definitely make some more action with that, and I'll post the workflow too if anybody wants it.
Yeah, dude, that would be sick because I know there's like a whole bunch of people that just like they want to get into AI, but maybe they don't want to pay for the tools. Well, if you don't want to pay for the tools, there are options available to you. You might have to work a little bit harder in a few of them to make them work.
Yeah.
But I think that looks really great. Like the face comes alive. It's clearly a burger.
Clearly. Half man, half burger.
Yeah, and the little bit of like shifting and warping, I don't even really mind it because there's this funny thing that happens that like the more stable all these AI videos get and the more closer to like being real they get, the more I want things to be a little flickery and be
I was actually thinking about like training a WAN motion LoRa on old Warp Fusion footage just to like just to see if I could recreate it without having to go through the pain of waiting all night.
Isn't that funny how like the more things, we want things to go forward, but then the more things go forward, we want them to we want the old stuff back a little.
Yeah, I know. It's like with the way AI is, the rapid advancements, nostalgia is literally like a year ago or two, or 6 months ago or something. So
N over in the chat asks, what does WAN do? How would you give the WAN description in a nutshell?
So it's just a better video model, as like it's more with the same sort of architecture that the closed source models have. As opposed to with Anime Diff, it was kind of more like we were really hacking Stable Diffusion, you know. But it's actually, so it's more of a dedicated video model as opposed to like an image model that we're kind of adding a module to make into videos.
Isn't it crazy to think that technically all that stuff we did with Animate Diff over that entire period of time was with 1.5?
No, yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty wild.
Because like
I still love 1.5 too. I remember like one of the first times I ever reached out to you. You had just done the concert deal with her name escapes me.
Grimes.
Yeah, with Grimes.
The Coachella thing, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, dude, I remember like reaching out and I was like, man, I was like, just want to say like, keep up the good work, you know, hopefully I'll be able to do something like that, you know, in the future. And literally 6 months later, I had an Anime Diff thing in Mysteryland in Amsterdam. So
there you go.
Wasn't not quite as big, but still, you know, like pretty wild how everything works out like that. As long as you just stick to it, you know.
As long as you, amen. To the consistent go the spoils.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I will say about that is the most important thing for anyone that wants to be doing this stuff is that as you're making stuff, you are putting it everywhere, because you said that Asteria, which is Asteria is now your full-time job, right? You're not editing weddings anymore.
I still have a few to finish, but yes, but that's only because I slowed down so much because I am doing this full time.
You're not taking any new bookings for weddings.
No, I quit taking bookings.
So
yeah.
So, but Asteria found you in a Discord channel.
Exactly. Yeah.
I got hired for the Coachella gig with Anima and Grimes from a Discord channel.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show. Shout out to Banadoko. So it just goes to show you that if you guys want to be doing this in any type of professional capacity, you just need to be putting your stuff everywhere at all times, because the person who hired me for Coachella told me that they were following my stuff for 6 months before they even talked to me.
For sure. And I need to get better about like social media and stuff like that, but it's like the cool thing about those Discords is that the people are hyper focused there, and it's like the people who know what they're looking for, they're gonna find you in those type of places, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like it's also great to have a good presence online. I'm just not good at it.
Well, you are good at all of the other things that, luckily for you, are also lucrative. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do before we kind of wrap up here at the top of the hour. Can you bring up the workflow and give everyone kind of like a piece by piece overview of kind of what's happening here, and like
sure.
zoom into the group so they can kind of see the nodes and what's going on?
Yeah, for sure. So we got our height and width here, and then the load, video, and encode. Here we go. We have the model loaders. I'm pretty bad about like once I set everything in, I kind of size it down to the smallest possible.
Well, here I'll help you break it down, because I know we got some folks in the chat and that are listening in that aren't so familiar with all the terms. So
right.
So scroll up to the height and width first.
Yeah.
So in this top block right here, and so this is all done in a program called Comfy UI, which is an open source node based software that allows you to build your own workflows. And Comfy UI can be used for a lot of different things. We use it to build AI animation workflows. And this is something that Trent has put together specifically to do these style transfers with the newest open source video model called WAN. So this first thing up here, the height and width, this is where he puts in the literal height and width of how big he wants the video to come out. Yeah. Then in the load and encode video box, This is where you're loading your source video, which would be my wonderful hamburger face.
Yes.
And then oh no, go on. In the models and Laura group, and these things are all talking to each other. And when he hits go, they run in a sequence. The models and Laura's group are loading the very specific video models and art style models that he's applying to the video using AI.
Totally.
And then the control one is where the fun really starts, because what this is doing, and zoom into the black and white.
Yeah.
There. This is extracting. Is this a depth map? This is a depth map, right?
Yeah. So on this particular one, I'm using a depth Laura. So we can only use depth, but to get a little bit more detail out of it, like David Snow and a few other people in Benedocco, an AI warper, like we figured out that if you add a line art and then kind of blend it a little bit with the depth map, that you get a little bit better outputs. So this is actually just taking a depth map here from the image and then adding a line art preprocessor to that and then blending it together. I think I have these kind of collapsed, but then you can see what it's doing here.
That is a great idea. Eric, do you hear that? Do you hear that? Eric, Ryan, I hope you guys hear that. That is a great one that we should do something with.
Yeah, and actually AI Warper has a new node for the normal crafter, and it's if you do that on that, it's even better. It's like the best depth maps I've ever seen, actually, and you can. Yeah.
That's really sick. Well, the depth map is essentially what the style from the prompt and the AI models is actually going to be applied to. It's not applying the style to your footage. It's taking the depth map, reading the depth map, combining that with the prompt, and then restylizing it, right?
Totally, yeah. And this one, I do think that I have, I actually do have samples going in too. So, but generally you can do it either way. I think this one, it's like I have the samples and the depth going in as well. So because I'm running this one at a low denoise. But yeah, that's basically the gist.
So in the prompt box, and as you can see, this isn't like to work with this stuff, you don't need to be a prompting god.
I hate prompting. I never in fact, like there's like Phil has a great Gemini node, and if you have a free Google account, you can I just try to set up the Gemini node to like read the video and then prompt it, and then I'll concatenate a style on top of that. But on this one, I just like literally just write burger face animation Studio Ghibli.
Okay, so here is a great question that I think there's two ways to answer this. Do I need a big GPU to run this? One, if you would like to run it on your local computer, Trent, how much VRAM does this workflow run on right now?
I think this one you can get by like I don't want to like say I'm not 100% positive, but I want to say maybe not this many frames because I'm doing 400 frames, but I know that for a fact that you can run it on like 12 gigs probably.
So 12 gigs is would you consider, like, I would consider a small GPU an 8 gigabyte card. I would consider like 12 to 16 gigs, like a medium sized card. And then of course you have like the 3090 and 4090 with 24 gigs.
Yeah, totally. And then so like whenever I started doing Warp Fusion, I was like breaking myself on the Google on the notebook, you know, and I just did the math and I was like, well, if I finance a 4090 over the course of a year, and if I use it every single day, then it will have technically paid for itself by me not having to rent, you know, by at least that's just the way my wife says I can just justify anything, you know, for spending money on anything.
I think we all can, but
Yeah.
but Louis, the answer is there for all these open source workflows, unless the models are like brand new, because usually it takes the open source community a couple weeks before they like optimize it and they get some type of version of the workflow running on smaller video cards. If you want to do something like this locally, you're going to need a video card that has at least 12 gigabytes of VRAM to have any shot. But there are services like RunPod where you can set up workflows and rent 4090s for like less than $1 an hour, right?
Right. Oh yeah, I mean like 50 cents an hour, I think.
Yeah. So Louis, where there is
actually, I think it's less than that now that the new stuff has come out. I want to say there was some that were like 30 cents an hour, just depending on Enigmatic. He has some good tutorials online about that.
So the answer there is, if you do not want to pay to do this stuff, where there's a will, there's a way.
No doubt.
And then the last note here is where it all kind of comes together after the prompt is applied to the depth map, and we get our incredible burger face.
Boom.
Well, I'm really stoked with how that looks, and I'm also really excited about the prospect of all this stuff. I know that very, very soon, our product team is going to be launching a vertical aspect ratio for DayDream, which is going to allow me to take my phone and go outside and record actual stuff with it, and then stylize that and make like compelling stuff that I think people are going to be really excited about. So that's going to be hype, because I think I'll be able to actually show people the potential after that.
Yeah.
But dude, Trent, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I had fun.
Tell the people where they can find you and what you're up to right now.
You can find me at Flipping Sigmas and Instagram, and also on X. And you can always find me hanging out in the Benedoko server.
Infinitely tweaking the settings
in Discord.
I'm trying to pull up your Instagram right now for the link, so that there we go. I got it. Boom. Guys, Trent's Instagram is in the chat. If you are not following him, go ahead and give him a follow. It will probably encourage him to post more often. Because
no,
he should be.
I have 3 or 4. I think I showed you one that I hadn't even posted it just recently.
And then also, I am going to go ahead and drop the DayDream link in the chat to my Cyclops, in case anybody would like to go and try to iterate and make that even better than what I got. So in the chat right now, you have the link to Trent's Instagram, as well as a specific link to my Cyclops DayDream. So, dude, Trent, you are a legend, and I know
you are, man.
I know that even if we don't talk for a while, I know you're behind the scenes working on some super, super sick stuff that is probably top secret. Can I ask you a favor? Are you willing to in our DayDream Discord drop that workflow so that the people doing daydreams can try it out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sick. Awesome. I'm going to send you a link to the Discord server right now, Trent, so that you can come in and do that sometime today. Just drop it in there, and anyone who is down with Comfy will use it, play with it, and hopefully make something cooler than us.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Trent, thank you so much. Guys, this has been another DayDream creator session. Next week, we are going to be back with my man, Purs. And if you know anything about AI in general, you know how much of a legend Purs is. And I know that Purs has a lot of really great insights that he's going to share with us next week. So next week, 4 p.m. Pacific, same time, same place. We will see you there. Link to the DayDream is in the chat. Come check us out at daydream.live. Try it out, prompt it, come into our Discord and share your DayDream with us, because we want to see it. My name's Tyler. This is Trent. This is Flipping Sigmas. Guys, we're out. We'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Peace.